Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications.
You know, today, according to the Washington Post, Texas Tech University system said that they're going to stop using race when they admit people to their medical school. This is pressure coming from that man who lives in the house that enslaved people built. And Education Secretary, I'm not going to call her name again, they want to curtail the use of affirmative action in education. What do you say in response to that?
Well, it's kind of ironic because race has always been a factor in education in America. You know the numbers, we've talked about it before. The top 10% of the population controls about 77% of the wealth. Yeah. And our education system is basically designed to drill for talent in that top 10%. Of course, the problem is that white folks are only 58% of the population, but they make up 90% of that top 10%, which means that 30% of them are there, not because they're talented or qualified, but just because they were born there. Wow. And those are positions that other talented black, brown, and even poor people would have if we really had a merit-based education system. So now it's really been race-based all along. We're just trying to balance it out.
Quickly, because I want to get them in, but quickly, those folks who got busted for buying for buying seats, should they go to jail?
Well, you know, I don't know.
Some black folks have for something similar.
For something similar.
Like the sister who put her son into a school that was outside of her district, they put her in jail.
Yeah, well, see, I'm not aware of that, but I know this. There's not a whole lot of difference from what they do and what they did, and the guy that puts his name on a building, and because he was able to give $10 million to the school, he gets his son in.
Are you talking about Jared?
There's been a few of those.
Yeah.
But that's the way the system works. That's my point. And so they just took it to an extreme. But really, it's the same system at play. Just they crossed the line and they got caught for it. So should they go to jail? Why not?
You know? Well, you know, as a Firebird myself, very supportive. Yes, I'm very supportive of the efforts that at UDC. One of the things that I really appreciated a few years back when they started the community college at UDC. Because, you know, when I was there, you know, I bounced around forever and then I ended up finishing at UDC, but I did see that there was an opportunity there for the students. So a lot of the students would come, you know, from around the area, but they would come to class, you know, to these type of classes, you know, maybe not as prepared as, you know, just a general four-year college setting. So I appreciate the work that you guys are doing there at UDC. My homeboy from Jackson, Mississippi, Dr. Parter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we went to the same high school. And we went to Stillman College together.
There you go.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
so you know, I like a lot of the things that you're doing there. Absolutely.
Good. Thank you.
Running tight on time, so Cleo, question, comment.
Okay. When it came to taking these tests that determine intelligence, initially in my life I had some challenges with them, not because I wasn't intelligent, I finally learned later, but because the tests weren't built around my organic intelligence. And you mentioned something that I call organic intelligence when you mentioned that they were finding other means to determine people's capacity to operate in academic context. What kind of approaches have you taken to determine people's their organic intelligence capacity to be involved in the academic institution?
Sure. So it's clear that standardized tests like SAT, ACT correlate directly with race and class. Yep. Because what they're designed to determine is whether you can be successful in the top 10% of the population. And who's going to be successful except the people in the top 10% of the population, right? So we've been looking at this tool that Gallup has called BP10.
BP10?
BP10. You can actually Google it. What it does is it assesses, it was designed to assess whether a student had high capacity for entrepreneurship. Oh, wow. And they've been doing this all over Mexico, and they've started to do it here. But what they really determine is whether or not these young people have grit. You know, they just keep showing up. And so we we did 400 in the district and identified the top 10. And of the top 10, 4 of them were from Ward 8 and weren't predicted to do well in school. But they kept showing up and they kept showing up and they kept showing up. And at the end of the first semester, they all had A's and B's. And so, you know, we know talent is not distributed based on race and class at birth.
Right.
Opportunity is, right? And so we're actually working now on designing a community through 16 reworked, redesigned academy that identifies raw talent and then doesn't let it get destroyed.
That's great.
By the forces of the three forces I told you that destroys talent over time.
Ron Mason, you're doing great work. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming out. We really appreciate it.
All right, folks, back to that Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Calling all HBCU alumni, students, and leaders. Enter the Ford Motor Company HBCU Mobility Challenge and win $25,000 for your school. Building on their long-term support of HBCUs, Ford is looking to improve in HBCU communities through innovative solutions. The winning program will receive a grant of up to $25,000 to implement their proposal. The deadline to apply has been extended to April 15, 2019. Go to FGB.Life for more information and to apply. Ford goes further in our community.
Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video.